Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, I'm going to show you guys how to apply a CA glue finish to your small turning projects. What we're talking about today is CA finishes on pen blanks or razor blanks, letter openers, anything like that. Anything that has high use, because of course these finishes wear. They get handled a lot. The oils from our hand, the friction from our skin rubs the finish off, and in no time it looks like crap. But CA finish is basically super glue, and it's a way to get an extremely hard finish on a pen or a razor or a letter opener. And you know, I'm going to be using this particular stuff today. It's Super T CA glue, and this is about a medium viscosity. So it comes in 3 viscosities, super glue or CA. I'm not going to try to pronounce the actual name for it because I mean, I'm just going to get tongue-tied. I don't know if you can see that, but it's some big, long word there. Anyway, it comes with a thin viscosity, which is well, like water. It fills in and seeps right into the wood. And then we have medium, which is like a general all-purpose. And then there's a thicker viscosity, of course, which is a gap filling. So we're going to be using the medium viscosity today, and as well we're going to be using some spray accelerator. And what the spray accelerator does is when it's sprayed on the super glue, it cures it pretty much instantly. So I've got a blank here, and truth be told, there's no brass insert in this blank. It's just it's a piece of walnut that I turned strictly for the purpose of this demonstration of how to apply a CA finish. So we've got to turn to the shape that we like, and at this point in time I have sanded it right through up to, in this case, 600. And some might say that 400 is sufficient, and they would be right. It's for sanding a pen blank or what have you, it's 400 is just fine, but I've brought this one down to 600 and I'm happy with that. So whether you want to go to 400 or to 600, that's up to you, but the blank feels great. And the next step now that you want to get is we want to make it so that our bushings that are here don't stick to our blank. And the way I'm going to do that is with just a little bit of paste wax. So the thing with CA glue is that it pretty much sticks to everything, and then when it does that, of course, we end up sticking our bushings to our blank. And there are those that do the turnings and they figure they can just tap them off of there, and that's fine. If that's your method, then more power to you. But that's not mine. So we're going to take the blank, and all we're going to do is we're going to remove these bushings. And I've got some paste wax here. In my case, it's Blue Label paste wax. I mean, any kind of paste wax will do just fine. And I've got a rag that I keep in it, and basically you just want to give this a little coating of the wax. It doesn't have to be a ton of wax on there. You don't have to buff it up. Just wax all the ends of this thing. Now just make sure that you don't get any on your wood, because of course getting it on your blank means at this point in time that your CA finish is not going to stick to your wood or to your blank. So now that we've got our bushings waxed up, we're going to put this back together, and we're going to start in with our CA finish. So before we start any of the process of the actual finishing, what you want to do is you want to protect the bed of your lathe. There's going to be some wet sanding that we're going to do after. And just from the glue itself, you don't want the glue dripping down onto the bed of your lathe, and then you just have a mess. So, I mean, protect the bed of your lathe. I'm just going to slip a piece of newspaper there, and that's going to protect the cast iron bed. And now what we need to do is we're going to get all of the sawdust off of this particular piece. So in order to get the dust off of this, I mean, some guys use denatured alcohol or what have you, but I'm just going to use a piece of brown paper towel here and just give it a little buffing at the same time with that paper towel, just to get any of the dust off of there. The next step you want to do once you have the dust off your piece is you want to turn your lathe right down. You don't need the lathe cranked up to put on a CA finish. All it's going to do is flick glue everywhere. So I'll just explain what the process is going to be here. We're going to use paper towel for the application, and we're going to have it kind of folded up into like a little pad. And basically we're going to apply some glue to our paper towel pad, and then we're just going to apply it side to side, just like this, getting it even across our, in this case, pretend pen blank, or we'll just call it a pen blank from now on. So we're going to apply it from side to side, get a thin coat. Once we get that done, we're going to get some of our accelerator and just give it a little spritzing. You don't want a lot, because if you use too much accelerator, you end up with a very cloudy finish. One thing that I've seen some guys that like to use a cotton cloth for applying CA glue. I don't know. I think that's a bad idea. I mean, if that CA glue gets a little too tacky and catches and grabs that rag, well, where's that rag going? That rag is going into your piece. And where is your hand going? Of course, your hand is going into your piece as well. I wouldn't suggest it. I mean, do what you want, but I'm not doing it. Anyway, so like I said, paper towel folded up into like an application pad, glue onto the paper towel, an application of glue onto your piece. Then once you get it on, and you can see there that it's nice and smooth, or that it's evenly spread, give it a little shot with your accelerator and then test it to see if it's dry. And with that glue on there now, a little shot of the accelerator. And look at that, we've gone too much accelerator. Can you see that hazing there? There you go, there is a good case in point of too much accelerator. Look at that, in my own video I screwed it up. So I'm going to sand that down and we're going to start over. Alright, so one of the causes for that haze that you saw is having the accelerator too close to your workpiece. And I should have really had it held back, but I'm trying to keep it on camera, and that didn't work too well for me. Anyway, it's a good example of how not to do it. Carrying right on, we're going to go again with the first shot of the CA glue, and we'll just apply it to the paper towel just like I did in the first segment there before I screwed it up. And keep your paper towel moving here. Don't give it a chance to set up. And then your accelerator, and just one little spritz there should be good. And there we go, there's our first set of CA glue on there, and it's dry to the touch, And now what we'd like to do is, it's up to you if you want to give it a sanding in between coats. I don't think it's really necessary, but you know, if you want to, you can. Just don't go too heavy on the sanding. So now we're going to go ahead and apply a second coat. Alright, second coat of CA is now going to be applied. And there it is, just like that. And once you get the second coat on, a little misting there of the accelerator, and then you'll be ready for the third coat. So we'll just put another little dab there of the CA glue on the paper towel and apply our third coat of CA to this. It's a little thin there. There we go. A third coat of CA glue, and then of course a quick little spritzing of the accelerator. And lastly, now I'm going to do a fourth coat, and then we're going to move on once we get the fourth coat on there. And there would be our fourth coat. As quickly as that, we're going to put our lid on our CA glue here, and one little spritz of our accelerator, and there we go. Now that is 4 coats of CA glue applied just as quickly as that. Now at this point in time, I've got 3 coats of the CA on this blank, and there's quite a few ridges in this blank, and you're going to get them too. That's natural, especially when you're using the medium CA. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some 600 grit sandpaper, and we're just going to give that just a very light sanding. Now you don't want to go crazy here because you don't want to go through the layers of the glue. But don't worry, if you do go through and sand right through to the bare wood again, it's just a matter of reapplying the CA glue. You haven't ruined anything. So I'm just going to start up the lathe, and again, just very gently, we're going to give this a sanding. And what the object is here is to try to minimize or get rid of those ridges that we've created. You want to keep the sandpaper moving. You don't want to stop it in the one spot. Stopping it in one spot is going to create lines that you really don't want. So we're just going to go right across the entire piece, and we're going to sand off as best we can those ridges. And there we go. And we still do have some of them, and I think what I'm going to do is sand them a little more off of the camera here, but this video is basically to show you the steps and how to go about it. So for now, I'm going to carry on and sand those ridges out, and then I'll get back to you once I get those ridges sanded out. So I've sanded out all of the ridges, and truth be told, the ridges were actually a little more than what was tolerable to me. So what I did was took a 400 grit, took it down with the 400, and then I hit it with one more coat of CA to smooth it out, paying more attention to how smooth it got, and then gave it a light sanding with 600, and that brought it back to perfectly smooth with the CA finish still intact. At this point in time now, we want to try to get some of the sheen back that we've lost by sanding it with the 600, and the way we're going to do that is with micro mesh pads. And if you don't know about micro mesh pads, they're a 2x2 pad with all kinds of different grits of well, let's just call it, they're like padded sandpaper, and they go everywhere from 1500 right up to a 12,000 grit, which is just crazy, but they do such a great job on these. So what you want to do if you're going to use the micro mesh pads is these are for wet sanding. Hence again the newspaper down on the bed of your lathe. So I've got a tub of water here, and starting with 1500, then going to 1800, 2400, 3200, 3600, 4000, 6000, 8000, and then I'm finally going to finish off with the 12,000, sorry, the 12,000 grit pad, and that should bring this thing up to just a beautiful shine. And then I'll show you the final step for me in this process. So you want to wet your pad, but you don't really want very much pressure on this. This is just a light sanding and keep it moving. There you go, 12,000 done. Or sorry, 1200. Then we're going to go to the 1800. It doesn't take much, guys. Just remember to keep it going. And this is the 2400. And what this basically does is it fills in the little micro scratches in this thing, evens them all out, and really gives it a smooth, shiny finish. Now we're going to go to the 3600, and again, I would just want to stress that it really doesn't take much to do this. And then we're going to go to the 4000, and then dip the 6000 in here, like that, and then the 8000, and then last but certainly not least, that crazy 12,000 pad. And then of course we want to get a piece of paper towel. Just reach over here, sorry, and we're just going to dry this off. Now at this point in time here, we're going to move on to the final step, which is giving it a little bit of a buffing. So the next step for me is I want to take some white diamond honing compound, and I usually use this on my buffer wheels, and I'm just going to touch the bar to my blank. You don't need a lot of it. And then using a piece of paper towel, I'm just going to burnish that in there. Just gets those last little bit, the last little bit of the imperfections out. I don't know if you can see the shine on that, but it's really starting to come out. And of course, the last step, for me anyway, will be the application of some Carnauba wax. I'm using the Carnauba wax in the bar form, and again, you don't really need much, and you just want to buff it in like that. Now for the final little buffing, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the speed up with this lathe and really give it a good buffing, and then you're going to see how incredible this really is. I just want to show you the purpose now of the paste wax that we applied earlier. And basically its purpose, or its job, is to make it so that the CA glue is not going to cause the bushings to glue onto our wood blank. And you can see that nothing is stuck there. And I just want to show you, if I can, this blank. I'm not sure if you can see this or not, or if you can see the finish that's on that blank. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's smooth, it's shiny, it's to the touch, it's just like glass. I mean, it doesn't get much smoother than that. That's just incredible. And there you have it. Unbelievable. So, some medium viscosity CA glue with some accelerator and sanding with some 600 grit paper to get rid of the edges. A reminder, I went down to 400 because some of the ridges were extreme. My fault, didn't pay enough attention when applying the glue. If you're getting heavy duty ridges in between coats, feel free to sand in between coats. After that, of course, we went with the micro mesh, where we went from a 1500 grade right up to a 12,000. And after that, hit it with some white diamond compound and then a little bit of Carnauba wax to give it that extra shine. Guys, this is a beautiful finish for your turnings, and it's almost a shame that this is just a junky test blank. I almost wish I would have done one with a tube, because this is beautiful. It really has depth to it. But I'll just show you it here. This is the sheen on that particular piece. And you may wonder, why the heck would he go through all that trouble just to throw this thing away? And the reason for that is the CA finish takes time. It takes practice. It's not something you're going to get overnight. So basically, this junk blank was just to illustrate to you guys that you might want to try on some test pieces before you actually attack a pen with the CA finish. And with that being said, we're going to segue into next week's show. I hope you're going to join me, where I'm going to show you guys the process from start to finish on how to turn a pen on the lathe. Should be a good show. Guys, thanks for watching. I do appreciate your subscription and your views and your comments. And we're going to see you again next week with yet another woodworking video.